First things first. Gotta get this mask off my face so you can see me. Hopefully that looks okay. Either way, I don't care. So we're gonna be filming this for purposes so everybody else can see it, so I have to do something that may seem awkward, but I need to sync audio. Thank you guys for bearing with me. On behalf of my family, I'd like to take some time and just thank you all for coming today and showing your support and kindness. It's very much appreciated, and it does not go unnoticed. Thank you. This is obviously something that's very hard for me, very hard time for my family, but especially me right now because I'm in front of you all. If there's some slightly awkward humor in this, just please go with it. It might not be intended. Maybe film it, go viral, I don't know. But also, for those of you who were wondering and don't know me, don't worry, I'm not Dan's long-lost twin. I'm just his son, who happens to look a lot like Dan's long-lost twin. Let's be honest, I've heard it my whole life. As soon as my beard started turning white and as soon as I started losing my hair, I was actually starting to question it too. All joking aside, we all know why we're here. We're here to celebrate the life of Dan Eugene Rice. Normally when somebody asks me about my dad or wants to know something about him or what he was like, I have too many words. I have too many stories. I have too many memories, and eventually I tend to overwhelm them just a little bit. But writing this, I've really struggled. Because honestly, the last 9 months roughly have been terrible. They've also been really beautiful and full of a lot of life. I was able to spend almost every day for the last 9 months with my dad. I was able to see the man I've always wanted to be in him. Kind, gentle, loving, caring. Someone who shows up no matter the cost. For instance, I lived in Raleigh, North Carolina, and my car was having some issues, so, like an idiot, instead of getting that fixed, I bought another car. I bought a $500 Jeep. Sounded like a bargain, right? Well, anyway, this Jeep decided to, shortly after I bought it, the transmission was like, I don't want to be in this thing anymore. So I called my dad, like I always would. Especially when a car would be doing something funny, and I basically demanded that he fixed it over the phone. You see, my dad, he could fix anything. He was, in my mind, the smartest and most wisest person I've ever known. We couldn't get it fixed over the phone, like you probably guessed. So the next thing my dad did, he was calling me. He's like, hey, so what if I came down Saturday? What are you talking about? Well, I got the truck and trailer already loaded up. I'm actually already heading down there, so I just needed some tools. I brought a jack. What else do you think we need? I'm like, Dad, you don't need to come down, but he came down anyway. He came down, and you may have guessed it, we couldn't get the car running or the Jeep working. So he took the Jeep, and he took it all the way back to Indiana. He fixed it himself. He sold it, but he gave me all the money. I don't know many who would do all of that for nothing in return. My mom was telling me something that I'd never heard before or never knew. Honestly, every day in the winter, she's telling me that when the weather was less than ideal, so basically every day in the wintertime here in Indiana, he would get up early and make sure she could get to the heated, detached garage that her car lived in, and he would get it out too. See, I don't know if I would do that for my wife. It's a heated garage. And she can get out herself. It sounds nice. It sounds really nice. But he took it a step further. He then, when she was ready to go to work, would walk her to her car and give her a goodbye kiss, signed with, I love you, and I hope you have a good day. And he did this every day. Chelsea, she had my dad's 1974 F-250 rear-wheel drive truck. That's hard to say. Rear-wheel drive truck in the winter because her car was getting a new engine. And in typical Chelsea fashion, she was running a little late. A lot late, actually. And ultimately, she was in a hurry. She started the truck, and for some reason, she put it in reverse and backed up on this concrete block and got stuck. Go figure. And then, also in Chelsea fashion, she called my dad crying and said, Dad, I just need so much help. I don't know what to do, Dad. And my dad said, and I guarantee it was a bit like this, I'm on my way. He left work. He drove way too far out of his way to go get my little sister unstuck. He showed up in his gas truck. I'm sorry, Kenny. Kenny's my dad's boss. And he loved his bulk truck, I'll tell you what. He's many a picture. But he pulled her off the block, and with a slight grin, he told Chelsea, yeah, that's how it's done. You can see the pride in his eyes, she said. He gave her a big hug and told her it'll be all right, and she was on her way. Lindsay, about 3 years ago, her son, Ben, whom was all about his papa. Everything was papa. Trucks, tractor, John Deere. Love my papa. Well, Ben, he decided that he wanted to get a bad case of the runs. Loose bowels, the Hershey squirts, whatever you want to call it, I don't care. Well, it was everywhere. All over the walls, all over clothes, all over Lindsay. The bathroom was in total disarray. So she called my mom. My mom was already helping Chelsea with something, and the only other person who could help at the time was my dad. Now, my dad did go, and ultimately he did help her, and he would still do anything for anyone. But this was just about the last thing to do and help with on his list. He wasn't perfect. But he ultimately helped out. He showed up. He was there. It's a horrible story of just poop, right? But that was my dad, and he liked that. But he was there. It was such a terrible time, and he laughed when he got there. He didn't say, how can I help? I'm not super interested in helping, but I want to laugh. And for those of you who know my dad, it wasn't just oh my gosh, this is terrible. You never knew when my dad got to laughing. If he was dying, having a heart attack, couldn't breathe, needed help, but you laughed nonetheless. His laughing was so contagious. He would do anything for his people. Well, not anything, I guess, but some have noticed that I and some of the others around here are dressed maybe not appropriate for a funeral, right? I'm a little too casual, maybe. I'm wearing jeans and a flannel, and that's on purpose. It's in honor of Dan. My dad was a very simple man, loved what he loved, and he was a man of comfort. But my mom, about 30 years ago, if I would have been around 30 years ago, I would have told her not to even try this because, she tried to refine my dad, okay? And you don't refine something that's already basically perfect. She even bought him a blazer for his 30th birthday and had a surprise birthday party ready for him, to which he told my mom, don't ever do that again. Over time, he would ask if he could wear his work clothes out to outings or just to go to dinner if they were going somewhere. Bonefish was one of his favorite spots, and I'll tell you what, he was wearing his Stark County Co-op jeans. The dude was wild. And over time, he would look at my mom, hey, can I wear this? Do you care? Honey, I don't care. She gave up. And I think he loved that. When he was first diagnosed with this terrible illness, we were very confused, and we had a lot of questions. Why? Why God? Why us? Why my dad? What did he ever do to deserve this? And he did nothing wrong. Cancer doesn't care. Cancer doesn't care who you are, what you've done, how many good things you're about to do. My dad was so loving. My dad was a good man. We sat around for a while, and while we were trying to figure out all of the new things we needed to be doing and the doctors we needed to be seeing and endlessly calling the insurance company to find out why they wouldn't pay for his pain meds and hospital visits. We were often very overwhelmed, and we all needed to take some time and get away one last time as a whole. As many of you know, my dad grew up here in Argus. He met his wife, got married, and started a family here. He has always lived here in Marshall County his whole life, and he's loved it. His family's here. He had a wonderful job that he absolutely loved, but he's also been very fond of traveling, and he loved to see the majesty of the Rocky Mountains and the vastness of the Atlantic. And one of his favorite spots, it's close to my heart, it was the Pacific Northwest. He told me that he didn't get to visit it as many times as he would have liked, but when he was there, he said it was absolutely magical. He actually wanted to go to Alaska for this vacation, and that was something my parents had always said they were going to do on a certain anniversary date, but never got around to doing it. We looked into it, and unfortunately, COVID kind of put a halt on our plan to go to Alaska at the time. So second best was the PNW, and we ended up staying in this wonderful house on a river with some of the most beautiful mountain views I had ever seen. It was absolutely perfect. And my parents even got the opportunity to renew their vows to one another on their 35th anniversary there. But what a lot of people didn't see through our social media posts about it in our time there is that my dad was very sick, and he didn't get to do too much. Just the last few days he was there. He was either in the bathroom or laying in bed while we were out doing stuff, but I will never forget the feeling I got when I would see him come out of the house. He was feeling good enough to come sit around the fire with us, to go down to the river, to look at the mountains. It sparked a love in me that I had zero idea that I could have. Time went on, and as he was doing all right for the things that, he was going through. The doctors always said that his heart and his mind were very healthy, and because of that, he was going to live a little bit longer. I was super hopeful that we were going to be able to do another last family vacation. January 2021 came, and things really started to rapidly decline. It was a tremendous feeling having your dad slip away from you right in front of your eyes. Every day there was a new struggle to overcome, but every day he woke up and told us how much he loved us and how proud of us he was. The body does some funny things towards the end of this type of sickness. I never imagined that I would see my dad the way I had the opportunity to see him. But as he declined, my love grew stronger, and so did my grief. But through it all, I loved him so much more than I could have ever imagined, immensely more. And yes, I'm grieving, and I'm angry, and I'm exhausted and tired and sad. But I will always hold on to the love I felt and had for my dad, forever. He will always live on through us and in us. And I believe Ted Kennedy said it really well when he said this: "The passage of time never really heals the tragic memory of such a great loss, but we carry on because we have to, because our loved one would want us to, and because there is still light to guide us in the world from the love they gave us." My dad, he was the brightest of the bright. He had so much love that he freely gave us, especially when we didn't deserve it. He extended grace and mercy when we were stupid. He looked past all of our flaws, brokenness aside, and loved us, and he saw beauty. He always talked about loving his job because he got to cruise the back roads all day and get paid to do it. He once told me it's basically highway robbery. I was like, but you're on the back road, Dad. When he was diagnosed and found out that it was terminal stage 4 pancreatic cancer and that he wouldn't live, he hopped in his pickup first thing and cruised the back roads for a long time. I remember asking him where he went, and he told me that he had stopped off at some of his customers' houses to check up on them and see if they needed anything. And because word was getting around that he was sick, He wanted to see a special few. He told me with tears in his eyes that a really special older couple told him that he was always more than just a gas man to them. I don't know these people, but my dad did lose his father and mother at an early age, and I kind of feel like these people were like father and mother figures to him in a way, and he went there to get comforted. Just like me, when I'm down and not feeling my best, I want to go to my dad and mom, and I just want them to tell me it's going to be all right and make everything better. Hours before his death, he popped up out of nowhere from a dead sleep, and we'd been trying to wake him up a couple times, and he just wouldn't wake up. And literally out of nowhere, I want some Jell-O. We were like, absolutely, Dad, whatever you want. It doesn't matter. But unfortunately, we knew this to be a sign of the very close end. Gosh, it was, thinking back, it was amazing. It was amazing to hear him tell us one more time how much he loved us. And he looked at me, he told me, Nick, you can do anything with your life. He grabbed my hand and held it for some time. He asked my mom if she ever got tired of hearing him say how much he loved her. Because at the end, that's really all about he could say in between his sleeping. He'd been babbling and going on and on about some engine and his dad and mom, and we finally kind of made it out, like what he was trying to tell us. He was saying that he was building an engine with his dad, and they were about to go cruise the back roads and pick up his mom. It didn't really seem like he was there with us in this realm in that moment. Kind of like 1 foot in, 1 foot out, and it was very exciting because he was so excited. He had a beautiful smile. It was super contagious. And the very last thing my dad did before he slipped away was open both of his eyes. He looked right at my mom, and it looked like he smiled a little, and just like that, he was gone. He was finally pain-free. He was finally not suffering. He passed very, very peacefully while Lindsay, Chelsea, myself, and our mom were surrounding him, telling him it's okay to leave. Go cruise the back roads. Go be with your mom. Go be with your dad. It's okay. My dad wasn't outspoken on just about anything. He never really spoke about his faith to me directly, but I knew he loved God, and he believed that Jesus was there waiting on him to join the party. My dad may have never really told me how much he loved God, but he sure showed me through his actions. Words will fail to truly begin to illustrate most things in our life, but showing them through action will always prevail. If you're here today with a loved one, you tell them how much they mean to you. You tell them that you love them so much over and over. And if they get sick and tired of it, you continue to tell them. You continue to show them. You truly never know when your last day is here on earth. And I'm pretty sure it's not going to be anything like you expected it to be. There are often times that there won't be one more time to tell them. There won't be one more time to hold them. So do it now and do it often and never let go of that love. Dan Eugene Rice will be forever loved and forever missed. He touched so many lives, and I believe everyone would agree he was an amazing man of God. There is a hole in my heart that only my dad can fill. And until I see you again, Dad, I love you from your boy.